I wasn't supposed to be in Seattle that evening. I was booked for a red-eye to New York conference presentation hotel by Times Square. One of those 48-hour business trips that feels like it lasts a month. The kind where I leave with a carry-on and come back with 2 more lines under my eyes. I had even kissed Allison on the forehead that morning, told her I'd miss her, and she murmured something half asleep like, "Text me when you land." She didn't know I'd be walking through our front door 12 hours later. The flight got canceled last minute, weather over the Rockies. I didn't even bother booking a new one. Figured it was the universe handing me a break. Maybe even a sign. I remember thinking that, at the time, that it would be nice to come home early, maybe surprise her with takeout, crack open a bottle of wine, catch up like we used to before the busy phase swallowed us whole. I didn't text her from the airport. I don't know why. Habit, maybe. Or maybe part of me wanted the surprise. I had this mental picture of her curled up on the couch in sweats, face lighting up when I walked in the door. But that's not what I found. The building was quiet when I got there. 7:20 p.m., cold wind off the bay, the kind of chill that makes your hands ache. I used my key, stepped into the apartment, and instantly, I knew something was off. The hallway lights were on, dimmed low, warmer than usual. The scent hit me next. Not the usual lavender she used to diffuse, not even the comforting trace of her coconut shampoo. This was muskier, masculine, almost. A cologne I didn't recognize mixed with hints of red wine and something earthy. Maybe sandalwood. I don't know. But it wasn't us. I kicked off my shoes and set my bag down softly, not wanting to make noise. Maybe that was instinct. Or maybe I already knew I wasn't walking into something meant for me. From the hallway, I could see the bedroom door cracked open. The light inside was on, dim, yellow, almost romantic. My heart started pounding, slow but heavy. I stepped in. On the bed were 2 wine glasses. One still had a red stain near the bottom. The other knocked over sideways like someone had set it down fast and missed. A bottle on the nightstand, Pinot, nearly empty. Her favorite. Not ours. Just hers. The sheets were rumpled. The throw blanket pushed halfway to the floor like someone had sat on it, moved, got up too fast. And then my eyes landed on the shirt. Gray. Loose. V-neck. I recognized it instantly. I'd bought it for her at a market on Whidbey Island 2 summers ago. She used to wear it after showers. Claimed it was the softest thing in the world. Now it lay bunched up near the edge of the bed, wrinkled and marked with what looked like makeup, or maybe wine, maybe both. The sound of water pulled my focus. The shower was running, and that's when I saw the tie, draped across the dresser, freshly knotted. Black silk with a slim silver stripe, way too nice for either of us. Definitely not mine. I picked it up, fingers tracing the fabric like I needed to prove it was real. A small tag near the back, West and Mercer Milan. I had never stepped foot in that store. Wouldn't even know where to find one. I stood there, unmoving, tie in hand, staring at the scene like it was a crime photo. Like if I just stood still long enough, the pieces would explain themselves. Then the water stopped. The bathroom door creaked open slowly, and Allison stepped out, wrapped in a towel. Her hair wet, slicked back, face flushed. She saw me immediately but didn't flinch. She just paused. "Oh," she said, calm as a sea before a storm. "You're back early." I didn't respond. She stepped out of the bathroom fully, not even adjusting the towel, and glanced around like she was trying to figure out what I'd already seen. "I thought you had a flight tonight." "Canceled." A beat. "Storm?" "Over Colorado." She nodded like that made sense. Like this was just a coincidence. Just another evening. Her eyes landed on the tie in my hand. "Oh," she said again. That's old. From a photo shoot I did last year. Remember the one where I styled those lawyers?" I kept my gaze on her. "No." "Huh," she said softly. "I must have mentioned it." "You didn't." She took a step closer. "It's been in the closet forever. I pulled it out to maybe use it for a flat lay on my portfolio. But I got distracted. I didn't think you'd even notice it." She smiled then. Not a real one. Just the hint of one, tight at the corners, professional. Practiced. I shifted slightly, gesturing toward the bed with the tie. And the wine. Oh, she said. And this time her voice got a little lighter. Lindsay came over. She was upset about something at work. I didn't think I'd be home alone, so I said she could crash if she needed. She left her glass full. She's forgetful when she's tipsy. And the shirt. Her eyes flicked to it. Wow, I haven't worn that in ages. I meant to wash it. And the shower? I was about to head to bed early, she said. Long day, just trying to relax. The entire time she spoke, she didn't stumble. Not once. Her voice didn't crack. Her expression didn't shift. But I wasn't listening to her answers anymore. I was watching her body language. The way her hands kept grazing the edge of the towel but never adjusting it. The way she never sat down, never moved closer. The way her eyes met mine only when she spoke and drifted the second I fell silent. She was rehearsed. That much was clear. But what I couldn't figure out, what really haunted me, was how calm she looked. Like she'd been here before. Like she had a script she'd fine-tuned over time, and this was just another read-through. I didn't press. I just said, okay. She tilted her head, a little surprised, like she expected more. I folded the tie neatly in half and placed it on the dresser. I'm gonna shower, I said. Okay, she replied. I turned away, heart thudding behind my ribs, because something had shifted between us. Not in the room, not in her story, but in my gut, like a thread had been pulled too far and couldn't go back. And I knew, with a cold kind of certainty, that this wasn't the end of it. Not by a long sh*t. I didn't confront her that night, didn't yell, didn't accuse, didn't even ask the one question that had been clawing at the inside of my throat. Who was here before I was? Instead, I got into the shower, stood under the hot water too long, and tried to calm the part of my brain that wouldn't shut up. I went over everything, every glance, every pause in her voice, every word she'd said, and how none of it actually fit. When I got out, the bedroom lights were off. Allison was already curled up under the comforter, her breathing measured, eyes closed, pretending to sleep maybe, or maybe just that good at compartmentalizing. I lay down beside her, staring at the ceiling. I didn't sleep. That's when the questions started. Not the obvious ones. Not did she cheat or was someone else in this bed. Those were too loud, too clumsy. I went for the quiet ones. The details. Like, when did her schedule change? I used to know her rhythm like clockwork. Morning tea by 7:30. Office at 9. She used to text me around 11 with memes or random shower thoughts. But recently she'd stopped doing that. Said she was off her phone more because of work boundaries. Except she still posted stories. I'd seen them: coffee cups, city views, elevator selfies. All solo. Always solo. She started jogging, too. Claimed it helped with her stress. I never saw her leave in running shoes, but she'd come back in them. Her sports bras started drying over the bathroom radiator. I hadn't even realized how new most of them were. Tags still hanging off a few. Then there were the conferences. In the last 2 months, she'd been to Vancouver twice, Portland once, and some retreat center outside Olympia. Always with her team. Always last minute. And always just out of reach. No signal. No Wi-Fi. We're focusing on real-world bonding, she'd said. I believed her. Or more accurately, I didn't have a reason not to. Not until Seattle. Not until the tie. The next day, I started noticing more. It wasn't even about what she was doing. It was the way she had changed in my presence. Like a dimmer switch turned down low. We used to talk all the time. Long conversations about everything from work to random dreams. Now it was all surface level. How was your day? I'd ask. Busy, she'd say. Meetings. Drained. You? Same. And that was it. Physical touch vanished, too. No more hands brushing across my back when passing in the kitchen. No more kisses on the cheek just because. We used to fall asleep tangled together. Now she slept facing the wall, knees curled tight. At first, I chalked it up to stress. Maybe she was overwhelmed. Maybe we both were. But the more I noticed, the more it felt curated. like she wasn't drifting. She was pulling away. Then I met Brandon. She first mentioned him like he was an afterthought. "We're carpooling to the off-site retreat next weekend," she said while she loaded the dishwasher. "Brandon lives nearby. Makes sense." "Brandon?" I asked. "New guy. Developer. Sweet. A little awkward but harmless." Harmless. That word stuck with me. Over the next few weeks, Brandon started showing up in her world more and more. At first, it was little things, mentions in passing. Brandon made a spreadsheet that saved our deadlines. Brandon ordered pizza for everyone. Brandon said the funniest thing today. Then he appeared in her stories. Nothing dramatic. Group photos. Office lunches. But always in the frame. Always with her. I clicked on one video, some kind of team lunch at a food truck park. Everyone was laughing. Brandon was holding the phone. Allison leaned into him, shoulder to shoulder, smiling at the camera. That kind of smile people reserve for someone who makes them feel seen. She never smiled like that around me anymore. Comments started showing up under her posts. "Brandon. Look at that light in your eyes, fire, fire, fire." "Brandon. Our team MVP crown." Others chimed in too. Some of her coworkers joked about how they were work married. I remember staring at that phrase, work married, and feeling something shift inside me, like a piece of the puzzle had just clicked into place. I showed her one of the posts, casual like. "This guy comments a lot," I said. She shrugged. "He's just friendly. He's that way with everyone." "But with you most." She didn't answer, just walked away to fold laundry that didn't need folding. That night, I checked her profile again. Brandon had liked every post she'd made in the last 2 months. Even the ones from before they met. That kind of retro liking that screams interest. That kind of breadcrumb trail left by someone trying to be noticed. And she let it happen. Didn't hide it. Didn't act surprised. She let it all float in plain sight because she knew I wasn't the kind of guy who snooped. I didn't dig. I trusted her. That's what started to unravel me. It wasn't the wine glasses or the tie or the half-lies about work retreats. It was the fact that she knew me well enough to bet on my silence. My passivity. That I would accept things at face value because that's what I'd always done. And she was right. Until now. I started keeping a journal. Not out of paranoia, out of necessity. My mind was a mess. I'd write down things like, February 12th, late call with Europe team. Phone logs show no outgoing or incoming calls. February 18th, Vancouver offsite. Posted IG story from Seattle coffee shop 3 hours later. February 24th, jogged at 7 a.m. Came home with hair down, dry, in full makeup. At first, it felt obsessive. Then it felt like survival. One night, I tried bringing it up. Softly, carefully. "I feel like we're kind of distant lately," I said. "Are we okay?" She didn't even look up from her laptop. "Yeah, just tired." "Is there something I should know?" She finally glanced up, eyes scanning mine like I was a spreadsheet. "Like what?" "I don't know. Anything." She smiled, tight-lipped. "We're fine." I nodded, got up, pretended I believed her. But the knot in my chest said otherwise. That night, while she slept, I unlocked her iPad. Same passcode. She probably didn't think I remembered. She'd left her messages app open. Brandon's name was pinned to the top. I didn't find S*XTS or anything overt. No smoking G*N. But the tone, God, the tone. It was emotional and *Macy, the kind that wraps tighter than anything physical. Inside jokes. Long messages about stress and dreams and late-night thoughts. He told her about his childhood dog dying. She sent voice notes comforting him. He said she made him feel like he could breathe. She replied with a heart. No scandal. Just connection. The kind I hadn't had with her in months. I didn't save *TS. I didn't need to. I saw enough to know I wasn't imagining it. Whatever line she hadn't crossed physically, she'd already erased emotionally. And that kind of betrayal? It sticks in places you can't even name. I didn't even know about the party until 3 days before it happened. Allison mentioned it while stirring her tea. like she was telling me about some random office errand. "Oh, by the way," she said, not looking up, "we're having a spring mixer at work on Friday. Just something casual, networking and stuff. HR and a few of the contractors." I nodded. "Should I come?" She hesitated, too long for something so simple. Then, without missing a beat, she added, "Nah, it's going to be really boring. Just corporate people and the events team. Honestly, I wish I could skip it too." I said nothing, just sipped my coffee and watched the way she twirled her spoon a little faster. 2 days later, I saw the flyer on her desk when I went in to grab a charger. Spring Forward Mixer. Friday at 6 p.m., upstairs lounge at Union Building. Open bar, catered apps, music and dancing. It wasn't casual. It wasn't corporate only. And it definitely wasn't something she wished she could skip. I stared at the flyer for a full minute. Something about it pushed the final puzzle piece into place. This wasn't about her avoiding boredom. It was about avoiding me. So I made a plan. Didn't say a word when Friday came around. Let her go through her little ritual like it was just another harmless evening. She came out of the bedroom in a sage green dress I'd never seen before. Elegant, subtle, the kind of thing someone picks when they want to look effortlessly stunning. Her hair was curled at the ends, makeup soft but precise. Going all out for a boring work mixer. "Huh?" I said from the doorway. She smiled without meeting my eyes. "It's just easier to overdress. You never know who'll be there." I nodded. "Want a ride?" "No, Brandon's picking me up," he offered. "It's on his way." Of course he did. I watched from the window as she got into his car. He was waiting outside like it was a date, engine running, windows down. She smiled as she climbed in. That same smile. The one that used to be mine. An hour later I followed. I didn't dress up. Didn't need to. I wasn't there to blend in. I was there to observe. To confirm what I already knew in my bones. The Union Building was only a few blocks from downtown, a glass-walled rooftop space normally rented out for weddings or charity events. I took the stairs, not the elevator. Gave myself time to breathe, think, slow the hammering in my chest. When I stepped into the lounge, I stayed near the entrance, half shielded by a hanging fern. The music was soft jazz, the kind people talk over. Warm lighting, small plates circulating on trays, people in clusters, talking, laughing, half networking, half unwinding. Everyone looked relaxed, comfortable, and in the middle of it all Allison stood near the tall windows, wine glass in hand, laughing at something Brandon had said. He was standing behind her, close, too close. His hand rested on the small of her back, then shifted to her hip, like he forgot where he was. She didn't stop him. She leaned into it. I watched her body language like it was a language I used to speak fluently but had somehow forgotten. The way her head tilted slightly toward him, her laugh slow and open, the gentle press of her shoulder into his chest as he whispered something in her ear. It wasn't Macy. Plain and public. Maybe not to strangers, but to someone who used to know her heartbeat. It was unmistakable. And then it happened. Brandon wrapped his arms around her from behind. Not tight, just enough. Enough to claim her. She didn't flinch. She didn't laugh awkwardly and push him away. She just leaned into it, closed her eyes for half a second, smiled. I stepped forward. I didn't cause a scene, didn't shout, just walked across the room like I belonged there. She saw me before anyone else did. Her body stiffened immediately. She turned, pulling away from him, her wine glass trembling slightly as she lowered it. "Hey," she said too brightly. "You came." Everyone near us paused just long enough, like animals sensing a shift in the air pressure. Brandon looked from her to me, confused. "You must be her husband," I said. A few people nearby froze. Others just awkwardly looked away, pretending not to notice the thing unraveling in front of them. "Oh," Brandon said, stepping back. "I didn't realize you were invited." "I wasn't," I said. Then, to Allison, "You told me not to come. Said it was boring. Just HR." She opened her mouth, closed it, Try it again. I didn't want you to feel out of place. That's all. That's all, I asked. She nodded. Too fast. Brandon tried to smile. We were just catching up. Talking about... I cut him off. He held you like a woman, I said quietly. Not a colleague. The room went dead silent. Not awkward silent. Shattered. Like something had broken and everyone felt it. Someone dropped a fork near the buffet table. No one picked it up. Allison's face drained of color. That's not fair, she whispered. Isn't it? He was being friendly. Friendly. I turned to Brandon. You hug everyone from behind at work functions? Or just my wife? He stepped back again. Maybe we should take this outside. No, I said calmly. We're doing this right here. I turned back to Allison. Her eyes darted around the room like she was trying to escape. Like she suddenly realized that no matter how curated her world was, reality had found the back door in. I trusted you, I said, even when it didn't make sense. Even when things didn't add up. I gave you space. I gave you benefit of the doubt. And you turned me into the fool at your private party. Please don't do this here, she said. Not like this. There's no right place for this, I said. You made sure of that. She reached for my hand, but I stepped back. I came here, I said slowly, to give you one last chance to be honest. And you couldn't even do that. You had your lines rehearsed. You always do. Brandon looked uncomfortable now. He mumbled something and disappeared into the hallway. Allison stood frozen, eyes glassy, wine glass still shaking. You don't need to lie anymore, I said. You've already told the truth. With your body, your choices, the way you looked at him like you forgot I existed. Her bottom lip trembled. The moment stretched too long. Nobody came to her defense. Nobody said a word. Then, softly, she whispered, I didn't want it to happen like this. I looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time in weeks. Neither did I. And with that, I turned and walked out. I didn't rush. I didn't look back. I just moved through the sea of stunned coworkers in silence, past the servers and the soft jazz and the spring decorations, out into the cold night, out of the version of our life she had been rewriting in secret, and into something else entirely. When we got home after the party, she didn't say anything. I walked in first. She followed a few steps behind, like she was waiting for me to slam a door, throw something, scream. But I didn't. I didn't even raise my voice. I took off my jacket, hung it on the hook by the front door, and walked into the kitchen. She hovered in the hallway for a second. I heard her sigh, deep, shaky. Then the quiet creak of her heels on the hardwood as she made her way to the bedroom. I stood by the sink and stared at the faucet, at the tiny mineral stains around the base, the kind of thing you only notice when your mind is running wild and empty at the same time. My hands rested on the counter. I didn't move for 5 minutes. That night, we didn't sleep in the same bed. I stayed on the couch. Didn't tell her to leave. Didn't lock the bedroom door. I just couldn't stand the idea of lying next to someone who could let another man wrap his arms around her like that in public and still look me in the eye. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of coffee. She was in the kitchen, moving with that same careful rhythm she always used when she was pretending everything was fine. No humming, no idle chatter, just silent motions, coffee mug, creamer, stir, sip. She didn't look at me when I walked in. Morning, she said softly, placing a mug on the counter for me. I didn't respond. She made pancakes. Not because it was Saturday, not because we'd made plans, but because pancakes used to be our thing. It was muscle memory for her, habit disguised as care. She even cut strawberries the way I liked them, like that was supposed to mean something now. We ate in silence. Forks clinking gently, butter melting, syrup pooling. The food tasted fine, but nothing sat right. She didn't apologize, didn't explain, just moved through the day like we were in a truce neither of us signed. Over the next few days, it stayed that way. She didn't bring up the party. I didn't bring up Brandon. She still went to work. I still answered emails. But at home, we moved around each other like ghosts. When we passed in the hallway, She gave me a small, tight smile. I didn't return it. Every word between us was utilitarian. We're out of milk. Dinner's in the fridge. Did you get the mail? Not once did she say, "Can we talk?" Not once did she offer an explanation. She just floated through the aftermath like someone who'd already mourned the death of something in private and now expected me to catch up in silence. I kept telling myself I was waiting for her to crack, waiting for her to break down, confess, cry, beg, but she never did. And a part of me started to wonder if she'd already done all that with someone else. Then came the laptop. She was at work. I was working from home, and I needed a charger. Hers was always in the drawer by the desk in the guest room. When I opened the drawer, I saw her old laptop sitting on top of a pile of magazines. Not her work one, her personal one. The silver MacBook she stopped using after she upgraded last year. I don't know why I opened it. I wasn't looking for anything. Or maybe I was and just didn't know it yet. It booted right up. No password. I guess she forgot she hadn't wiped it. Or maybe she didn't care. I clicked through the desktop. Random folders, old documents. Photos from vacations. *TS of recipes. Nothing unusual. Until I saw one file sitting in the center of the screen. New_cycle_plan. Docs. No context. Just a title that felt out of place. I stared at it for a few seconds, then opened it. And I swear, my stomach dropped so hard, I felt it in my knees. It wasn't a plan for work. It wasn't a meal plan. It wasn't a schedule. It was a breakdown, a strategy, a guide. Inside were bullet points, cold, methodical, emotionless, like something pulled from a therapist's playbook or a breakup Reddit thread. But this wasn't copied. This was written by her. Step 1. Begin reducing emotional dependence. Step 2. Decrease casual physical affection. Start with small changes. Step 3. Increase me time. Normalize solo outings. Step 4. Introduce new social names into conversations. Brandon, etc. Step 5. Establish mental independence. Focus on self-worth language. Step 6. De-escalate in *Macy without triggering confrontation. Step 7. Prepare explanation rooted in personal growth. Step 8. Initiate physical separation as space, not rejection. Step 9. Make exit appear mutual. Step 10. Avoid blame language. Keep narrative soft. At the bottom, a note. Objective. Gentle detachment to reduce guilt. Timeline. 6 to 8 weeks. I read it twice, then again. I kept hoping it would change. That I'd misunderstood. That this wasn't what it looked like. But I wasn't wrong. She had planned her exit from me the way someone plans a product launch. Measured. Strategic. Scripted. I was a phase. A situation. A problem to transition from without creating too much damage. And she'd done it in layers. Peeling herself away piece by piece while I kept holding on like everything was normal. I sat there for a long time, staring at the screen, until my eyes burned. This wasn't just cheating. This wasn't just emotional neglect. This was dismantling a relationship brick by brick without ever telling the other person the house was being torn down. That night I didn't confront her. Couldn't. Because it wasn't about confrontation anymore. It was about mourning. I wasn't angry, I was gone. Or maybe I'd just woken up for the first time and realized I'd already been erased. She came home around 6:30, coat slung over one arm, takeaway in the other. I grabbed curry, she said casually. From that place on Pine you like. I nodded. Cool. She placed the bag on the counter and started unpacking. How was your day? She asked, back turned to me. I looked at her, really looked at her. The way she moved, the calm she wore like a mask. And I realized she was still on script, still executing the plan, still wrapping up step 7, probably easing into step 8. Fine, I said. We ate together. Quietly. She asked if I wanted to watch something. I said no. She didn't press. Later, she brushed her teeth, crawled into bed, rolled away. I sat on the edge of the couch, laptop still open, her document minimized, cursor blinking on a blank email I hadn't sent yet. I thought about replying to the doc, adding my own bullet points. Step 1, discover betrayal. Step 2, pretend not to know. Step 3, gather proof. Step 4, expose. But I didn't. I just sat there, realizing the quiet in the apartment wasn't accidental. It was engineered. A silence built brick by brick. Structured. Maintained. Fed by half-truths and polite smiles. And I was done pretending not to hear it. I gave her a week. Not out of mercy. Not because I was waiting for an apology. I gave her that time because I needed it. To observe. To collect. To become quiet enough to move through the fog she'd built around me. She had no idea. She moved through our apartment as if I was a passive shadow. Smiling softly. Asking if I needed anything from the store. Telling me stories about people at work as if there wasn't a plan on her laptop describing how to emotionally extract herself from our relationship like a surgeon removing a tumor. Every good morning was rehearsed. Every "you okay?" was scripted. Every glance was measured, testing the temperature of the room. I matched her energy, not because I wanted to keep the peace, but because I needed her calm. I needed her to feel safe enough to stay in her pattern. That was the only way to complete the picture. The moment I found that document, everything shifted. I knew now that this wasn't something I could save. It wasn't about repair. It wasn't about therapy or tough conversations. This was a controlled demolition. So I did what she did. I planned. I backed up everything. The screensh *TS of her messages with Brandon were first. They weren't *Zool, but they were in *mate. Detailed accounts of their days, long confessions about feeling seen, bits of private language that made it clear I was no longer the one she turned to. I collected every message, date, timestamp. I revisited the party footage. The security camera from the building's lobby caught her and Brandon arriving together, laughing, her hand brushing his chest. They looked like they were headed to an anniversary dinner, not a company event. I also found footage of them leaving hours later, this time her hand in his. And then there were the stories. Public careless. Him filming her with filters, her laughing like a teenager. Comments that could be explained away individually, but together formed a collage of betrayal. A breadcrumb trail for anyone paying attention. Most damning of all was the document. New_cycle_plan. Docs. I printed it, annotated it, highlighted her strategy like a professor grading a thesis. Each step corresponded with a moment in our recent history. The withdrawal, the emotional detachment, the calculated silences. She didn't just drift away from me. She architected it. By Thursday, I was ready. I didn't want a confrontation. I didn't want a screaming match. That would make it about emotion, and I was done letting emotion cloud this. I wanted clarity, precision, impact. So I chose something she couldn't refute. Exposure. That night, she fell asleep early. Exhausted from her double life, maybe. I waited until her breathing softened, then went into the office and opened her email. Her passwords hadn't changed. Still her dog's name and a random string of numbers. She never thought I'd look. I drafted one message. No subject. No greeting. No explanation. Just attachments. A zipped folder titled Truth. Inside were the photos, the messages, the party video, a copy of her exit plan, fully marked. I sent it to 6 people. Her mom, her sister, her 2 closest friends, her boss, and Brandon's wife. Yes, he was married. That little detail had come out in one of the tagged photos from a coworker's baby shower. A smiling woman beside him, matching rings, captioned, Brandon and Sophie looking adorable as always. I didn't even feel anger at that point, just grim understanding. I sent the email, closed her laptop, turned off my phone. Then I sat on the balcony in the dark and waited. The next morning, she woke up earlier than usual. Maybe she sensed something had shifted. I heard her moving through the kitchen, then the familiar ping of her phone. Another ping, then 2 more. A vibration, then silence. She didn't say anything for a long time. When I walked into the kitchen, she was staring at the screen, jaw clenched, eyes unreadable. Did you? She asked, voice small. I poured coffee. Check your email. She didn't. Or maybe she already had. She just stood there, still, like someone trying to decide whether to fight the fire or let it burn. Eventually she spoke. You didn't have to do that. I looked at her. Really looked at her. The woman who once cried at rom-coms. The woman who once danced barefoot in the kitchen. The woman who now looked at me like I was a problem she couldn't delete fast enough. You held on to me while building your exit, I said. You built a new world and left the lights on in this one so I wouldn't notice. Her lip trembled slightly. I wasn't trying to hurt you. Then you shouldn't have made a plan. She had no response. The next few hours were quiet. She disappeared into the bedroom. Came out once to get water. Didn't look at me. At noon, her phone buzzed again. This time, she answered. I didn't hear the whole conversation, but I caught words. Yes, I got it. I don't know why he. No, of course not. I didn't think he'd actually. And finally, can we talk later? I need to fix this. Fix. That word rang out in my head like a bell made of glass. She wasn't sorry. She was strategizing again. Later that day, she posted a photo on Instagram. A misty forest trail. Some poetic quote about growth and forgiveness. Her caption was vague. One of those sometimes we're tested by the people we love lines. Brandon liked it instantly. So proud of you, he commented, with a heart. Lindsay unfollowed her an hour later. Her cousin removed all their tagged photos. Her sister texted me a simple message. You didn't deserve that. I'm sorry for ever doubting you. I left her unread. That night she made dinner. No joke, actual dinner. Roast chicken, mashed potatoes, vegetables with thyme. A full meal. It sat there, warm, perfectly plated. I thought we should talk over dinner, she said gently. I sat down but didn't eat. I know you're angry, she said, but I didn't mean for it to get this far. I let that hang in the air. She couldn't even admit what this was. She kept going. I was confused. I thought I needed to do something for myself. I didn't know how to say I needed space. You knew exactly how, I said. You wrote it down. Her face froze. She knew I'd read the whole thing. You were never confused, I continued. You were calculated. You just didn't want to feel like the bad guy. She looked away. Everyone's acting like I cheated. I didn't laugh. Didn't flinch. Just stared at her. You did, I said. Emotionally. Deliberately. Repeatedly. You didn't have to sleep with him to replace me. She had no defense. Just silence. We didn't talk for the rest of the night. That's when I knew we were past the point of any kind of repair. It wasn't just the betrayal. It was the performance. The fake dinners. The carefully crafted posts. The casual touches of normalcy to keep me lulled while she plotted a clean exit. She'd always been good at narratives. She just never thought I'd interrupt hers. So I let her stew. Let her name burn quietly in the inboxes of people who once believed in her. Not to destroy her. Not to win. But to remind her that when you treat someone like a stepping stone, you shouldn't be surprised when they stop holding your weight. At dinner, she finally looked up and said, "People are talking." I nodded. She said I went too far. I said, "You kissed another man and